T.A.G, very nice, very evil.
Yeah, that's tag shit.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama, I don't really.
What up, Tag Nation, and welcome to another episode of NXT.A.G with your boy ScooterRay. And look, we are on that road to Atlanta weekend. Pretty much, it's the Atlanta weekend. It's Bash at the Beach, not Bash at the Beach. There's WCW, Great American Bash, which was still a old WCW pay-per-view, but it's Great American Bash, Saturday night's main event, and then on Sunday, Evolution, which you know is the all women's PLE. And we're pretty much building towards both of those shows. We have our match set for Evolution, and we're getting ready to have some matches that will be set for NXT's Great American Bash. But let me go ahead and walk it down through the going-ons of the show. The show opened up with that boy Trick Willie, aka Trickin' A, aka the champ, Trick Williams, defending that TNA Championship against Josh Briggs. This came about because with that 6-man tag, Enamora pinned Trick, but he pretty much gave the opportunity to Briggs. And these boys went out there and had them a match. Like, at times, you don't forget how talented Briggs is. It's just the fact that that roster is so deep, and between the men and the women, that unfortunately people like a Briggs can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want him to be, because as a big man that can move the way he moves, his intensity, his strength, his speed, his agility, excuse me, you want to hone and craft something like that, because funny enough, he's pretty much a young Dijak. You know, like they released Dijak and pretty much Briggs is a young Dijak, which is so weird. But you forget, and when he gets these moments like this, you like, damn, Briggs really be shining. But him and Trick act like to open the show. This was a good match to open the show. Excuse me, sorry. This was a good match to open the show. Good back and forth. I'm truly loving this attitude of Trick Willie. I'm loving that, you know, though he's not NXT champion, he's still TNA champion. And then not only that, but he's like, you know, I'm Tricky 2 brands. I got 2 brands on my back. I got NXT and TNA. Now, Trick ultimately does get the dub. Briggs tried to go for a moonsault. There was no water in the pool. He gets up, eats a trick shot. 1, 2, 3. Trick Willie gets the dub. Now, they did announce that Trick Williams will be defending that TNA Championship against Joe Hendry at TNA Slammiversary, July 20th. And of course, Joe Hendry's music hits. Trick is there waiting on him. Joe Hendry appears from behind, hits him with like a clothesline. And I want to say it was something else, and pretty much Trick got out of there. You know, Trick Willie got out of there. And that was pretty much it for now. Ooh, mystery. But then next up, you had an NQCC segment, which pretty much they were showing how during the training for Tavion, he suffered like a lip injury. So they was like, so Tavion was like, you did it on purpose. You don't want me to succeed. You don't want me to leave the NQCC. And he was like, don't worry, medical cleared me with wearing a mask. So he will have a mask when he takes on Tavion. When Tavion takes on Javon Evans. Because remember, if Tavion gets the dub, he's free for the NQCC. Then we see a segment where Miles Bourne was talking to two players from the Florida Gators, and Lexus King walks up, tries to talk to Miles. Miles was kind of hitting him with the "I don't hear you" type thing, and then eventually he was like, "Yeah, I hear him," but it led to some words between him, and then it led to some words with King talking to the Gators. And just like last week, when I told y'all how Trick Willie hit Briggs and Inamura with that, "Why y'all wearing so much leather?" So one of the Florida Gators, as soon as King was walking out, he was like, "Is his beard painted on?" I mean, like literally, the moment King was walking off, he was like, "Is his beard painted on?" I was done. Then we get to the match between Javon and Heights. Once again, I love the aspect of NXT having so much talent that when they go out there and just have good matches, they have good matches. Excuse me. But at the same time, I hate that NXT has so much talent, because you do kind of see how some people could get overshadowed and things like that. But with a little bit more, I would say, personally speaking, with a little bit more, cooking and a little bit more time in the oven, Tavion could actually be something. Because when he usually has these type of matches, whether it's in the tag division or the occasional singles matches, Tavion is not a bad wrestler at all. I mean, we've seen what Javon can do, so I have no doubt that Javon can be a star even in WWE. Like, I could see Javon being a star on the main roster. But Tavion, with that kind of technical skills, and then with his like raw power with it and this, that, and the other, Tavion could be something with a little bit more time in the oven. You know what I'm saying? Let him bake, let him cook a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? Tavion, but ultimately Javon does get the dub. And so, of course, Tavion has to stay with the NQCC for much longer. Big Jasper Troy comes out, starts beating up on Javon, and then that was pretty much like, that. Then they were showing a segment with the D'Angelo family, or what's left of it, and pretty much, if you didn't hear thoughts and prayers out to Noam Dar, it was reported that he suffered an injury. Now, don't know if it's a for real injury, kayfabe injury, or what, but they said he suffered an injury. They didn't say what it was, and pretty much he stripped of the Heritage Cup. So Stacks gets his title shot against a mystery opponent. Well, due to the segment with the D'Angelo family situation, Ava ended up making it Tony D. That Tony D is the one that Stacks will go against later on for the Heritage Cup. So there you go. We get Absolute Ricky Saints taking on Ashante the Adonis. Now, remember last week I was saying this match kind of stemmed from when Saints was getting into the face of All Ego. Then you had the Vanity Project there, and then all of a sudden Ashante gets up and starts getting in Saints' face, and it was like, whomst are you? Like, why are you here? Like, you had nothing to do with this. But it wasn't a bad match. It's, even though how I feel about Ashante at times, it's still good and entertaining to see him. I mean, this was, Hit Row, the original iteration of Hit Row. There's only two of them left, Ashante the Adonis and B-Fab. I mean, we see AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, he's doing it big in TNA, and we seen where Swerve is it. Yeah. So there's only 2 members of Hit Row left. So, but Saints gets the dub. You know, he hits that Rochambeau. I mean, come on. Come on. He's trying to get his North American Championship back. You think Saints was going to lose to Shantae? No offense. Okay. But of course, as soon as Saints start to celebrate, All Ego comes out there, beats him up a little bit. And when he was going for the twisted grin, you know, his version of the Twist of Fate, he decides, nah, I'm going to hit Saints with the Rochambeau. Wow. Now, later on in the show, Ego was like walking down the hallway. Ava chases him down, and she was like, I'm getting tired of this thing between you and Saints. So don't worry, both of y'all will be in my office come next week because we got to figure some things out. I think they're going to go to the extreme with Saints and Paige. And when I mean go to the extreme, loser leave NXT type extreme. Because even if we book Saints and Ego again, who's to say is over? I think Ava or possibly one of the two may go to the extreme and be on some loser leaves NXT type of deal. So we shall see. We shall see. And guess what, people? We get a Dark State sighting. It's been a little bit since Dark State has been on our TVs, but they had a little segment and they was like, yeah, we've been off, you know, we've been plotting and planning, but don't worry, we about to show back up again, you know, the typical Dark State rhetoric. Now, this was the thing that Dizzle and I was kind of talking about with Dark State. How you book these gentlemen and how y'all proceeded was going to help or hurt them. And as of right now, though they are still undefeated and though they are still booked strong, they're almost kind of irrelevant. Whatever their plans to do with Dark State, they need to kind of do it like now. Because with the different factions that are happening and the way it's going, NXT has always been very much a what have you done for me lately brand. If you've been watching NXT for the longest, it's very much, unless the crowd loves you just that much, it always had been a what have you done for me lately brand. And they're going to have to come back strong. They're going to have to come back to where it's like, damn, okay, Dark State, okay, type of energy. But we shall see. Then we get the NXT champ, Obafemi, comes out, and he's pretty much like, hey, anybody who has stepped to me has been dropped. Who's next? No Goldberg, but who's next? We get the music of Inamura, because Inamura was like, hey, I love NXT. I love it here. I love the brand. I love the fans. All I'm saying is, big dog, I'm your next challenger. And Oba was kind of like, all right, then, bet. We shall see. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as Inamura kind of leaves the ring, he gets laid out by Jasper Troy. Jasper Troy gets on the apron. Him and Oba have a stare down, and Jasper was like, I'm not finished. I'm not done. And Oba was like, you know, whatever, big dog. Like, last time you was dropped by me. What makes you think you won't be dropped by me again? Type of energy, you know? And I was like, okay, Oba. Okay, Oba. Now, to go ahead and fast forward with that, there was a match made. Next week, we're going to get Yoshiki Inamura versus Jasper Troy. Winner takes on Oba at Great American Bash. There you go. Then we get a segment with Tatum Paxley backstage, you know, kind of messing with remnants of the dollhouse. Izzy hands her a new doll, and Izzy is like, hey, I want you to come out there with me ringside and, you know, kind of be in my corner, you know. And then Soul and Zarya walk up and they was like, Tatum, I know you not falling for this. Like, I know you not falling for any of this. And Tatum was like, I don't know, kind of energy. And she kind of walks off with Izzy. And Izzy walks into Spears and Vance. And they was like, you know, who's your new friend? And he's like, oh, this is Tatum. She's gonna be coming me to the ring. Or y'all coming me to the ring. And then Spears was like, nah, Vance and I got our eye on gold ourselves. Now, after that Saints and Ava exchange, Ava did walk back to see Hank and Tank beat up. I'm going to assume it was Nico Vance and Sean Spears that did it. I'm just saying. But of course, no face, no case. I'm still wondering what's up with the Brooks Jensen situation. Because for Brooks Jensen to be so unceremoniously kicked out, we haven't heard from him since. What is the plans with Brooks now? What's the plans with Brooks? Because that was interesting that essentially Brooks was the first recruit. And now, boom, he's been ousted from the group. So I'm kind of intrigued. Like, what's up with this Brooks situation? You know, what's up? Then we get a segment backstage where Trick Willie is in the back and High Rise walk up, you know, the team of Wesley, Tyson, DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe. And they're pretty much talking, and pretty much West tells Trick that he got a match with Joe Hendry. And I love how they said his name and they all started looking around like, he gonna show up? He gonna show up? Cause they kind of said it kind of low and they was all looking around the locker room like, he gonna pop up? He gonna pop up? He here? Nah, okay, good. So, and Trick was like, how about y'all take care of Joe Hendry and I'll you know what I'm saying, return the favor. So next week we will get Joe Hendry versus Wesley. Then when I said we'll put a pin, there was an interview where Sarah was talking to Joe Hendry and Joe was like, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna make Wes a believer. You know, he came from TNA, so he know how it goes down there. But I guess I'm gonna have to remind him because it seemed like he must have forgot. And then, you know, on to getting my belt back at Slammiversary. Next up for the vacant Heritage Cup, Tony D, Channing Stacks Lorenzo. And I wonder was this gonna be the outcome? But it was something that just felt just off with this match. Like, I don't know, because it was because of the Heritage Cup rules. I don't know what it was, but something just didn't gel. Maybe because since Tony D was sort of the last minute replacement, it was supposed to be Noam Dar. But I don't know. Something to me felt off with this match. But ultimately, Tony D got the first victory. Stacks got the second. And then where Stacks has his little goon squad, they were interfering. Luca comes out, tries to beat him up, where Tony D was standing on the apron and, you know, one of the goons were distracting the ref. When Luca snatched the bucket out of the guy's hand, he hit Tony D in the back, which caused Stacks to hit a suplex, then hit the Shining Wizard. 1, 2, 3. Stacks is the Heritage Cup champion. Tony D and then return punches Luca. we still haven't seen Rizzo since all of this has happened. Is Luca working for Stacks this whole time? Like, I'm not necessarily saying personally I'm getting tired of this storyline. It's just, to me, is not progressing in the way that I thought it would. I thought everything would have came out and pretty much Stacks was in essence going to be ousting Tony D out for good type of energy, but I don't know what's happening. Maybe it may start to come more and more, especially come close to the draft. But yeah, Stacks is the Heritage Cup champion. Thoughts and prayers to Noam Dar, as far as with the injury and everything. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this. But the storyline, to me, of course, it's to me, it's starting to lose me a bit. It is starting to lose me a bit. There was a Fatal Influence segment, and pretty much they were saying we was going to be out there to see who was going to be the number one contender and, things like that. So Thea Hale was back there ranting to some of the LFG people. Laney Reed comes up and they're talking shit to each other. Lash kind of interrupts, and then before we get to that match, since I kind of jumped around with some things, there was a Chase U segment where Kale and Uriah was back in the classroom, and Chase was kind of hitting his rhetoric again, and they got up and kind of walked out again, and they was like, I thought things was going to be different this time around. Andre Chase is still doing the same old same. Now they're saying these things to each other right outside the classroom for Andre Chase to hear. They was like, he's doing the same old. I thought it was going to be different this time, especially since I was the one who, we and Kale was the one who had called his name in that hallway. And, I don't know. I thought it was going to be different. And it was like, okay, whatever. At this point, maybe they should have left Chase U done. I understand Ridge Holland blowing it up. We know Duke got released. We know Riley got released. Thea is back doing her thing. But maybe they should have just left it and just had Andre Chase be Andre Chase. Because as of now, Uriah and Kale haven't done nothing other than just get beat up a few times. And even their personas and even their whatever is not doing it for me per se. That's just me. So maybe, just maybe, I'm assuming after Andre Chase realizes his ways, he's going to change up his teaching styles and I guess not be so harsh or mean or whatever. But maybe they may show a little more pizzazz to them. I don't know. But at this point in time, I feel Chase U should have just been done. Let Ridge, quote unquote, blow it up like he did. Not in the physical, not in the, literal sense, in the metaphorical sense. I don't want, get in trouble. But it's just but main event time. It is the finals, in essence, of the Evolution Eliminator. You got the Juggernaut Jordan Grace, the Bougie Bully Lash Legend. You got Jada, hi Miss Parker, and you got Izzy Dame of the Cullen, along with Tatum Paxley. These women went out there, showed up, and showed out. This was a good, as Booker T would say, main event on the show. I appreciate it. I appreciate the ladies shining, the ladies getting their moment. It was a good match. There was a moment where Tatum tried to cheat for Izzy, and it was like, Izzy, girl, what? I'm sorry, Tatum, girl, what are you doing? And then Soul and Zarya came and snatched Tatum and was like, we not doing this. No. We not, girl. We are not doing this. And then it pretty much stayed between those four. Of course, you know. Oh, sorry to rewind. In the fatal influence segment too, they did talk about how they beat up Blake Monroe. But you have these four ladies here, and the women was doing the damn thing. Ultimately, it led to Jordynne Grace getting the dub. So officially at WWE Evolution, you know, the all women's PLE, we're going to get Jordynne Grace taking on Jayne for that NXT Women's Championship. Now, one is going to assume, from the way things been playing out, that JC is probably going to survive this match, which then in return mean most likely Blake can get her get back at whatever the next NXT PLE will be. I could see Blake potentially going through all three members, finally getting to JC, and then not only is she getting her get back, but also getting the NXT Women's Championship. And that was pretty much NXT for tonight, y'all. I mean, we have our Evolution match set between Jordynne Grace, Jayne. After next week, Obafemi will know if he's defending against Inamura or Jasper Troy. Knowing Obafemi's luck, it's probably going to be a triple threat. Because we all know Obafemi is the king of triple threats. We do know Joe Hendry and Trick Willie will go at it at TNA Slammiversary, July 20th. Most likely, we're going to get Ricky Saints and All Ego Ethan Page at Bash at the... No, why do I keep saying Bash at the Beach? Great American Bash. Great American Bash, y'all. I'm just maybe because Bash. Maybe because that one word Bash is triggering Bash at the Beach. I don't know. But Great American Bash, and maybe that Cullen situation could happen at Great American Bash. I'm trying to think. Maybe we may get another Stax and Tony D match at Great American Bash. Like, I'm trying to think of all the matches that can happen at Great American Bash, because it seems like if they do have a women's match, they're probably going to do maybe the Women's North American Championship, since they're saving JC and Jordynne for Evolution. So it'll be interesting to see what women's presence will be at Great American Bash. But that was NXT, y'all. Whether you loved it, hate it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down, preferably thumbs up. Like, share, comment, let us know what you think. Subscribe. After you subscribe, you got to make sure you tag that notification bell so you can be notified for all of this tag goodness. Shout outs to the Broskis, Lip Dizzle, Jaeger Bombastic, Juggernaut, and Leo. Shout outs to y'all. All of y'all out there. Whether you're in the Tag Nation or whether you're not, shout out to all of y'all out there. Happy Pride Month. Also remember, it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month as well. Love one another, love yourself, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. And until next time, you beautiful, beautiful people out there, do not forget to tag out. Peace.